Can't buy happiness, but it can buy time.
It can buy happiness too. I could get into that too. Money does buy you happiness. It does not buy you. Good morning, good afternoon, or good night, and welcome to the BS Buddies podcast, where we, hypothetically, won $1 million. My name's Joe. That's Ian. Ian, I didn't mean to cut you off, but
That's fine. Like I was saying, it's Monopoly money. It's all Monopoly money. We get to pretend spend $1 million in Monopoly bucks.
after tax, because it's just easier that way.
Yeah. Yeah, originally it was like 1.4, and then, with the tax rates and some of that, it all worked out to a nice flat $1 million. So handy, very handy.
So, we are going to talk about if we won $1 million, what would we spend it on? And then, towards the end of the video, we are going to talk about if we won the Powerball, which we'll get more into that. But Ian, would you like to start with something that you would buy if you
I
won $1
will.
million?
You know what? I will. Well, very first thing I would do if I had $1 million. Boy, how many times are we going to repeat that phrase in this video? If I had $1 million, I would immediately separate 100,000 of it, and I would use that specifically just for stocks, just for different investing. I would say I'd put about 75% of it into, so 75,000 would be in like long-term securities, and I make sure I get a good return, and then I'd take 25,000 just to play around with in the market. You know what I mean? Find something.
Crypto and stuff like that.
Here's a nice little upstart. I'll throw 5 grand at you. I'll throw 1 grand at you. I'll throw a couple grand at you. So that's the very first thing I would do, is I would separate some of that money and use it for stocks to at least make sure that I'm going to be getting some kind of return on my investment into,
Solid.
I don't know, something good, I hope. Maybe I'll find an upstart company that sells, I don't know, really big rubber bands or something, and I can make the world's largest rubber band snapper. Hornets, you remember those things in high school?
Yes,
I'm going to make the world's
unfortunately.
largest one through my stock investments. Now, do we need to go through the whole $1 million, or do we just want to bounce back and forth?
Uh, we could
Different.
bounce back and forth. So I've, I'm kind of surprised you said investing right away. I usually when I talk to people who say like, if I won this amount of money, I'd buy this car or whatever. And I'm proud of you for saying that you're starting out with investing.
I'm a thinking man.
I'm not going to start off with investing, but I will get to that. The first thing I would do is I'd take 50,000 of it, and I put it a down payment on a house. And so the reason why it's like, why wouldn't you have the money? Why wouldn't you put it all so you don't have to pay for it? My thought process, and it'll make a little bit more sense once I talk about the other things I'll spend it on. My thought process is I have the money. I'm gonna talk about investing. I'm gonna put down a huge chunk, and 50,000 for the type of house that I would want is more than 20%. So they recommend you put 20% down, which is not super feasible most of the time. But I get that 20% down, and more than 20% down, because I'm sure I'd get like a 200,000, 2,500, or 250,000. That's more my range. I don't need a mansion that will make me go broke. But this will give me $950,000 to play with. So
Exactly. You got a lot of money there.
So I got a down payment on a house. I can live in my own home, which I've wanted to do, and I can go from there. But that's my first 50,000. Ian,
For spending. Okay.
Ian, you've spent 100,000 so far. What's your next chunk of change going to be towards?
My next move. Well, and it's interesting that you say the house thing, because that was actually going to fall in line with mine next. I just wanted to comment on you talked about the whole 20% down payment, which is true. And that's something I don't think a lot of people think about, right? Is they're like, oh, 20%, but on a $300,000 house, that's 60 grand.
Yeah,
That's a lot of
that's a
money to put down
lot.
on the table. But I think what I would do. Oh, actually, too, I was going to comment on the whole everyone loves to say they want to go buy a car. For our listeners out there, here's why you should not go out and buy yourself the fanciest new car on the lot. Unless you plan on buying the thing outright. And here's why. Because if you go to a lot and you find you're like, oh, here's a Lamborghini Aventador that I found at a random junkyard dealership in Minnesota for some reason that's in perfect condition. uh, I want this Lamborghini Aventador, and I want to make payments on it. You have to have premium insurance, and if anything ever goes wrong on that car, the repair costs are going to be through the roof. And if we get through this whole little spending debacle and get to the end of that, that's a hell of a lot of money to be spending on one car. So screw that. I'll be driving my jalopy around. Thank you very much. It gets me from A to B quickly, cheaply, and the heater works. And that's all I need, at least in the wintertime. AC is meh. You can roll down the windows in the summertime, but
So,
anyways.
what? Sorry, I want to bounce it back because I'm sure I would have gotten to that point as well. Um, so, a little bit about me. I've been reading up on personal finance and I'm trying to learn as much as I can about it because I suck at it. And I've sucked at it because I was a young, dumb kid and racked up a bunch of debt that I don't want to do anymore. And so, reading stuff, watching investment stuff, that's exactly what they say. What Ian just said. Like if you look at Warren Buffett, there's a very famous video of him. Like he has like $300 billion or something. And he just still drives around like a Buick. Like
Yeah,
just a base
exactly.
basic car. He's like, it gets me where I need to go. But like Ian said, uh, with if you want to get a fancy car, like it's gonna cost more to repair. Uh,
Insurance
me,
premiums, because and I don't mean to cut you off, but that's just one of those things. Because now you can buy the thing outright. You know, maybe the junkyard dealership was like, "I'll give you a great deal. She's only 100 grand," and you just flat out buy a Lamborghini Aventador for 100 grand, and you're like, "All right, I am only putting liability on this bad boy, so I don't have to have any kind of crazy insurance wazoo up the butt every single month." If something ever happens to that car and it totals it, I'm sorry, there's no way you're ever replacing that sucker. So your options are to either drive her around basically uninsured, praying to God you don't meet that one idiot on the road, or spend the next however many months of your life paying off an ungodly amount of money that you will never recoup ever in your lifetime for one vehicle that you can only drive 4 months out of the year and only on some roads. This does not apply to all 50 states. This is only our current situation. Little
for
asterisk.
for me, in all honesty, I one car I would love to have is a Tesla Model Y, and that is considered a luxury car. So it gets, I believe, it gets luxury taxed. Um, and I did test drive one, and they're super awesome. But talking about the guy about finances is just he brought up like, oh, they have a specific tax on them. You do get tax benefits, but it's also if I wanted to buy the exact type of Model Y because they have a few different options, it's like a $55,000 car brand new. So that's about
That's pretty chunk of
8,500
change.
because you also want to do 20% on your car down payment. So that's almost five digits right there doing that. So
Hmm.
yeah,
That's
just just something I
something to
could
think about.
I could keep going into detail about this and like car depreciation values and other stuff, but
Done some extensive.
you guys want to know the dipshit reasons that we're going to be spending our money.
Spend
which
the
we'll
rest
get
of
to.
the money. That's what they're all yelling right now. Spend the rest of the paycheck. That's
Ian,
what
you
everyone.
spend the rest of yours right now. What are you buying next now that we're done with our long tangent?
Land. That's the next thing. That was very next one I was going
Just the
for.
way you said it just made my night.
I would take my next 100 grand. I don't even know what the going rate for acreage right now. Undeveloped, by the way.
It
I'm
is
gonna put this
$5,500. I've looked into it
$5,500. Okay,
for
so
an acre.
for 1 acre, undeveloped, up north, as they say. Preferably somewhere with like a little private lake to myself. But so for what 5,500, that would get me about what 16 acres for 100 grand. Then, if I do my math right on that, 15, 16 acres
You
somewhere in
you
that
keep
neighborhood.
talking. I'll do the math.
Anyways, undeveloped up there. That way I could hire a nice contracting group with another incredibly expensive amount of money and
18
have them
acres,
18 acres.
roughly.
Even better. I'd get 18 nice little acres because I mean, for me, that is like perfect. Granted, it would be nice to, have like a 600-acre ranch that I could do whatever I want on, but feasibly, that's way too much for me to ever take care of. So a nice little 18 acres, yeah, I could have a little field and my house and still mess around with all my stuff. It'd be perfect. But I'd at least spend 100 grand buying some undeveloped land up north on a lake shore, so that way I could build myself a nice little cabin up there and relax and retreat to if ever I needed to over the course of my next 10 odd working years. Because let's be honest, I'm not working to retirement age. I'm quitting early if my investments play out. Still waiting on that phone call.
Fair. My next, I didn't know. I didn't know if you were done.
I am done. Finished.
My next
You.
is I would also use $100,000, but I would put it just in savings.
Wow.
That the reason behind that is with how much I currently get paid, roughly these are all rough estimates. If nothing changed, I would be able to live off that 100,000 for about 2 to 3 years.
Hmm.
So,
That's a pretty nice setup, yeah.
with the down payment on the house should bring down monthly, but property tax and all that other fun stuff.
All the other fun things that they love to throw in there at you.
I could at least live off $100,000, and I mean, I'd probably still work my job if this were the case, but I know I could live comfortably, and if I lost my job, I'd have 2 years to figure it out.
Smart. Yeah, you give yourself lots of time. That's it. Actually, that's probably a smart idea. It's probably what I should be doing with my next $100,000.
Money will always buy time.
Money will always buy time. Yeah. That's your quote. You can
It's
use
not
that up.
it's not my quote for the end, but that is definitely a big one that I've learned. Money will buy you time.
Can't buy happiness, but it can buy time.
It can buy happiness too. I could get into that too.
All right,
Here,
let's see.
I'll throw it out here. This is why I say that. Money buys happiness. There's one country song that says like it can't buy everything, but it can buy you a boat, it can buy you a truck to pull it. That is very true. My second quote, I'm going to have a lot of these quotes cuz I've heard so many. Money does buy you happiness. It does not buy you fulfillment.
True. Man, you got some bangers today. Why did you even bother looking up a quote? You could have just saved one of these for the end.
Oh,
what are you doing? Throwing away the punchlines, man. Come on.
Hey, I got to give them little tidbits of advice I've learned.
Sprinkling it like a breadcrumb trail to lead to Hansel and Gretel's destroyed $1 million. God, I don't even know.
I thought you left out an R in breadcrumb right there. That sounded really bad.
some nutty bread. What the? Is this sticky to you? This is gross.
Okay, that's our inappropriate part of the show. Ian,
I'm trying to think of how I would spend $800,000. God, there's that.
I
That's a lot. Like it's weird because $1 million is a lot of money, but it's also not a lot of money at the same time. Like feasibly, you could easily blow $1 million in a couple of weekends just left to your device. I could buy myself a ticket to Vegas and blow it all in one night if I really wanted to. But like, it's also an amount of money that like, if I did this right, I could really turn my life around here. You know what I mean? I could really do a step up in the upgrades.
yes. I lost my pen now. Okay, found my pen after dropping it.
I would I would set another 50,000 aside. So I'm at 750,000 here. And that 50,000 would specifically be for me to buy. This is a really stupid reason, by the way.
Hey,
It's
it's your money.
totally
It's your
totally
seven.
not bound in any kind of fact or any kind of thought or plan. But that 50 grand would be for me to buy things around the house whenever I need them. Because for some
That's
reason
fair.
it is impossible. Like I will save something. I'm the kind of person who holds on to, like, let's say this nail clippers is a tool I need for anything other than clipping nails.
You know what's
And
funny? I also have one on my desk for some
right
reason.
on,
I have no idea why it's even here.
perfect. I'm glad we're synced up like that.
Yeah.
Great minds think alike, or whatever it is. So this
Welcome
is
to
a
the BS
tool.
Buddies podcast where shit like this happens for some reason.
What were we talking about again? I don't know. Let's change the topics. Talk about nail clippers. Let's say this was a tool I needed for literally anything. I don't know what. I hold on to it for years. The second I finally needed to use it, because it has that one niche tool that I don't ever use for anything, the second I need that, poof, it disappears. So that 50 grand would be for me to buy anything I need around this house whenever I need it. Because I can't tell you the number of times I've been like, hmm, I have something that would be perfect for this. I just don't know where it is and can't remember the last time I saw it. It'll be easy. And then, of course, I'm like, well, what does it cost to get a new one these days? Okay, maybe not. Maybe we'll try and find the old one. So that's what that 50 grand would be for. It's a goofy reason, but it's like coffee can cash. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Tucked away somewhere for a rainy day whenever I need it.
My next one, which I have three more that I just kind of grouped in to kind of speed things along. I'm gonna use $250,000. We're getting into it. $250,000 for family, straight up just family usage. Whether it's saving for, I got nephews, nieces, a future stepdaughter. Put some money away for their college or their, I don't know what I want to do with my life fund, but if they want to get into investing, that's theirs. Repaying like my parents back for raising me because that was a, I bet
That was a
bet they
chore.
had a real fun time with that.
I've
Um,
met me. I wouldn't want to raise me.
um, and then other family members. Um, and then I guess a little bit of it as well for my own sake and me and my fiance, like just having a little bit. I know I have the 100,000 in savings, but I'd like to put like a little bit of the money like towards the podcast, upgrading Ian and my stuff to make it as good as it possibly can be, and kind of invest my little portion in growing the channel.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, see, that makes you sound really sweet and caring, which is the complete opposite of me because I wasn't thinking of any of that stuff. But now that you said that, I should probably make a similar
You hey,
end goal, you know.
like I
Don't want to be
said,
that guy.
you are not tied down to copy what I'm doing. Like it's your money. Like
Oh, cool. Then
who
I want to go down to Texas and shoot that M4 Sherman that you can.
how
Like I've
much is
seen on.
that?
I haven't the slightest clue, but I want them to give me a
I'll
box
look
of
it up.
20 rounds. I want a box of 20 repurposed 75 millimeter Sherman M4 rounds. And I want to be able to put them through. You know what? Let's just, because I'm at what, $750,000. There's some of my I shouldn't say favorite, but some of the YouTubers that I like to watch did a couple of videos on them a few months ago, and they're pretty freaking sweet. I want to. It's like an actual range that you can set up to go to and go through the whole thing. The problem is, like I said, it costs a lot of money. I think one round is like a couple grand. I'm
I,
not even sure on the
I-
exact price figure.
I'm on the website, but it doesn't show prices. It says like, hey, put your name, email, and phone number, and we'll get back to you. So
I
I don't
can.
know what the price is, but yeah, I'd assume.
I'll, I'll bet you I can take a stab why they don't have any pricing on their website. Because it'd be the second anyone went on there, they'd be like, "How much does it cost?" Hell no, I ain't doing that.
Yeah,
But
I
I would
suppose.
also, you know what? We'll just go 150,000. We'll set ourselves down to
You could put
600,000
it
because I'm gonna
you could put it
I'm
as
gonna
FU money.
yeah, FU money. So that I can also get a lawyer to draft up a contract to let me sit inside the tank when I shoot it. That's the thing, is when you go to these ranges, they got to have you stand outside the tank because, oh, it could be dangerous. It's a tank. It's not meant to be safe. It's a tank, okay? It's what, the whole point of it is danger. It's if you could spell danger with a physical object, it would just be a tank sitting right there. And so they make you stand outside of it, and then they have this long little string that runs up down the hatch, and then you. But I would pay enough money with a lawyer, or maybe they do a little under the table deal. I want to sit in that bad boy when I pull the trigger. I want to feel the whole tank shake because they don't even shoot full powder rounds. It's they're loaded like half, so they preserve the life of the barrel and the ammunition.
Oh yeah,
I'm shooting 20 rounds, and I want to be in that tank. So there's my first stupid purchase with that amount of money.
solid. This In this video, you will not find stupid purchases from me, unfortunately.
Oh,
Like
come
I
on, you
said,
gotta have
I've
at
done
least
that
one.
enough in my life to where it's really set me back. So, like I said, I got two more sections. This one is 100,000 in stocks, like Ian brought up. Um, Kind of just play around with some of it and do research on others, uh, like S&P 500 type stuff, and like I don't
With
use
that,
it anymore. I might get back into it, but like Robinhood, I use Acorns. If you've ever used it, I find it really nice as a basic investor. Basically, you say, here's a pie chart. Do you want most of it in stocks, bonds, whatever? And it asks you, do you want to be safe or do you want to be aggressive? And
oh, so
it
it's like a
kind of,
virtual broker.
yeah, and you just put in so much money
Okay, because
and
I
it
was gonna say,
just,
with that amount of money, you could actually go to a broker or a
yes.
firm and just be like, "Hey, I got this much money. I want to invest it." And then you'll have some dude pretending he's Leonardo DiCaprio and Wolf of Wall Street on the other end, like, "Get the loot, we hit the jackpot!" Like, you know what I mean? So you could
Yeah.
do that. There's that
So,
option.
yeah. I don't know exact. I'd probably go through a broker with at least half of it, and then just part of it, just whatever I want to do. But Ian, you still got a lot of money to spend, and
I do, and oh, God, like we're getting to the end of my rope. See, I have thought about tactfully how I would spend that amount of money, right? Like I said, with the investing, the property, I would I'd get an upgraded vehicle, like I said earlier. Nothing fancy. Still be I wouldn't have a lemon, but it'd be something a little bit nicer that I could
a
drive around.
lemon?
You never heard that expression before? A
No,
lemon? It's a term for a junk car that always breaks down all the time on you.
I've
They used it in
never
cars
heard of
too.
that.
They used it in cars. Yeah, they call them. There's like one part where Mater, he's like, "There's a lemon," and yeah, that's what they used to call them, jalopy lemons, because
Jalopy, I've heard, but lemon, not at all.
I think it's because it puts a sour taste in your mouth. But I don't remember the exact reasoning why they call them lemons, but I know they call them lemons.
Okay, that makes sense. Carry on.
Rolling around in a lemon. Oh boy. You know, I suppose. being that I also have nieces and nephews, I would take we'll say 300,000, and I would set up some savings accounts for them as well. Deposit, a little bit in each account there so that they have something nice to set themselves up with when they get of age. And I wouldn't even tell them that they had it either. I would wait
That's
until
a good
they're like
idea.
I'd wait until they like went off to college, come back home and oh hey, how's it going? I took this course, now I'm this much in debt, and I'd be like, that's cool. There's your new savings account. Just like, oh
for
my god. So
for
we'll say if that puts me at $300,000 left, I'm gonna lump one in here. Um, I would take at least 150 to 200,000 here. I'm gonna dwindle myself down, and I would buy a monster truck because I just looked it up here. They cost anywhere from 113 to 300,000. I would buy a monster truck, and I'd put
so
that up on the property that I bought up north, so that way I could fuck around with that bad boy whenever I wanted.
um are you gonna have enough to like run it?
Yeah, that's included in there. I buy like
Okay,
a bulk
okay,
supply
okay,
of fuel.
okay. Just worried about your monster truck not being able to go.
Oh, it's okay. It takes. I think they run on a JP8, which is jet fuel. It only costs like probably $22 a gallon. It'd be fine.
Okay. So
Be like, why is this random man in northern Minnesota buying tanks of jet fuel? We got to go check this guy out. And they get up there, and it's just me doing whipping shitties around a field.
so my last one, I don't know if you guys have been keeping track of my dollar amount, but I still have $500,000 left. What am I going to use 500,000 on?
I don't know. That's once
Real
you get to this
estate.
part.
I'm using it
Ooh,
all on real estate.
all on real
The
estate.
reason why,
You're gonna be a landlord.
I mean that, but real estate, what I've learned, will basically continually pay you for the rest of your life if you do it correctly. So I
Gonna
would
be
use
flipping
that
houses.
flipping houses, like you said, buy land, but I would buy land to like put properties on or just to resell the land. If I find good deals, it's just flip flip it right away. And yeah, just basically go nuts with 500,000, then buy land, rent it out, and go that route.
Yeah, there you go.
Because that way,
Perfect.
me and my family are set for life. I can teach my kids this is how you're going to maintain it. If you don't maintain it, your kids will be broke. So don't mess this up.
And they'll blame you and they'll be angry at you.
Eh, well, if they don't listen, then yeah.
What I thought.
But
Well, I'm down to my last 100,000. I'll be a smart man and I'll just put it all into savings. I'll put that remaining $100,000 into savings so that way I can nickel and dime that as I need it throughout the course of my life there.
or invest in real estate.
I could invest in real estate. But real estate is also ridiculously expensive. Yeah,
What
I would invest in farmland, ag land. That way I could lease the land out.
you have $100,000.
Yeah,
Like
and you know what?
you don't pay for the full amount, dude. You
But
pay
here's
a little bit. Okay,
you
I'll let you
you
go.
still got to make payments on that though.
But you
Still got
get
to make payments on that land.
yes, but that's why you get tenants to do it for you, and then you get tax write-offs for your land and your property.
You know what? $100,000 donation to charity. So that way I can write it off on my taxes next year. Your
uh,
income isn't even $100,000 a year. How the hell did you donate? Recently came into some wealth, and I got rid of it.
I
What's the
love
problem?
I love how I basically told you like here's how you can have wealth and like not worry about it. Middle finger to you, Joe. I'ma just throw it at the homeless.
Yep, I'm literally driving down the street. I'm just gonna hold a stack of bills out the window and let it be like those card counting machines. Just they just peel off as I'm going down the street, like, yeah, come get your greenbacks here, just shaking it out the window. Everyone driving, what the hell's wrong with that guy?
So before everyone says that I am a greedy POS, and I
I
want
think
to
they'd say that's
clarify.
a smart investment. I think it's a pretty smart investment.
I want to clarify. The more money I get, the more people I can help. So, like, my family can
True.
have like the money I set aside earlier, but then I can just like family and friends. I can just put them on a corporation I start and have them on salary and be like, you don't have to work anymore. Or it's like, if you want to work for me, here, you don't have to worry about finding a different job that pays like
Perfect.
crap.
I still think agricultural land would also be a good return because you
Yes.
can lease that out. So
Yes. But we are out of money now.
we
So
ran out
we're,
of the $1 million. We really made that last a whole lot longer than I thought we were going
yeah, I
to.
didn't think we were going to go into so many rants. But there's one more thing that we're going to talk about, and we're not going to go into detail. We'll just summarize it. If you won the Powerball, the jackpot, right
I'll
now
see
it
that
is
now.
right now it is at $164 million with cash value 78.8 mil. Really, the
Wow.
only question I have for you, Ian, is they if you guys are not familiar with Powerball, you can get payments for 30 years of the taxed value pretty much. Or I think
Hmm.
it's full value but it's taxed kind
Taxed
of
at a higher
more.
bracket. Taxed at a
So
higher bracket
cuz
over the course
yeah,
of
cuz
receiving.
then you could I believe they tax it as, oh, that's what you make per year. So then they can
That's how they
stick
get
that.
away with it. So that's why now there are arguments to be made for both sides of it. The 30-year plan is nice because it's at least a guaranteed income for 30 years. However, on the flip side of that, taking the cash price is nice because then I'm pretty sure you can claim that as after tax dollars, and in the long run, you won't lose out on so much. But then you got $78 million on a big fat target on your back, so you
Yeah.
got to take your choices with that one. Which I just wanted to comment on the sheer scale. Right, we took quite a while to burn through $1 million, and granted, that's not a lot of money, but hey, $164 million, $1 million, 164. So imagine everything that we just talked about doing that 164 times.
I kind
That
of
is
want to
a
do the math on each individual thing. If you saw me looking down, I was writing down my amount so I kept track. Once we're done, I kind of want to times all these by 164.
I could own 164 monster trucks, Joe. I could own 100 and not just the little Hot Wheels ones either. The big ones, the real life. And what I just and that's where like the concept of like $1 billion becomes mind blowing because it's like yeah $1 million it took us a while but we could spend it $164 million, yeah, that would definitely take you like a couple decades to burn through if you were going at it at a reasonable rate. I don't mean go to Vegas and throw everything on red 5 at the roulette table, but and then there's $1 billion. You could spend like 20 grand a day every day for the rest of your life and still not make a dent in that $1 billion.
Yep.
That's insane.
So,
That is an insane amount of money.
are you taking the 30-year payment or are you getting it all in one shot?
I think I would take it all at once. Just looking at the state of the world, there's no guarantee that that payment is going to be solid and steady for the next 30 years. So I think I would take the lump sum just to have that way. When the apocalypse hits, I got lots and lots of kindling for starting fires. Because
Solid.
after the apocalypse, it's going to be what was that movie? The Book of Eli, where he was using KFC wet wipes to barter with. That's what the future's going for. Save your wet wipes and your bottle caps, just like Fallout.
On that note, for me, uh, I wasn't
Yeah,
expecting that. I'm gonna be
I can
honest.
turn I can turn any topic into anything. My mind is a Wikipedia race at all times. There's 18 trains of thought, and not a single one of them has a conductor.
Moving forward, before this video gets too long, I would also take the lump sum. There are ways I've heard that you can just invest that money at a certain percentage, because when you take the lump sum, you get taxed more, but
You're taxed
over,
more up front, but through the
yes.
course of time, you get to keep more of it.
So if you invest it in certain areas where you can get like 5 to 8% back on your return, that it makes it the smarter investment. But if you're not doing that, doing the 30-year, if you're just spending it to spend it, then that's a smarter thing.
Yeah. Well, and honestly, what you could do, what did you say? The cash take was 78 million.
Yeah.
You could take 50 million of that, put it into an after-tax IRA that you draw from when you're retired, and then you could take the other 28 million dollars
And
and
live
just
your life.
and live your life with it. And then when you hit 65, boom, there's another 50 mil for you to go, I don't know, sail the world or whatever it is old people
Whatever you
do when
want to
they're
do.
rich and bored.
But with that, I think that about does it. This is our longest episode so far, but like I said, didn't know we were
Yeah,
gonna get into a
lots of
super.
introspective thoughts on the matter.
Yes. Ian, would you like to start with your quote?
You know what? I would. Enemies teach, friends preach. Also,
Solid.
I just want to point out that over the course of your editing this, you're going to see me fidgeting with this rubber band a lot, mostly because it was in my line of sight and I can't control my impulses. So, just wanted you to know before you got into it.
Solid. I was gonna go with a quote I thought of myself today, but I'm gonna go with this quote from the book Rich Dad Poor Dad, which I'm almost done reading, and basically why I've thought about this topic to begin with, and why I would do the things I would with $1 million. He says, "Oh wait, actually, I'm gonna cut all of that out. That is, this quote is not from that book at all. Now that I'm looking at it, wow, that was bad.
Yeah,
I
you
have a
know
lot.
this. You know this great book that I've been reading and that I'm almost done with. We're not gonna listen to that shit. We're we're gonna.
I have a lot of I have a lot of quotes in
You
that
gave
book
yourself
underlined.
middle finger on that one. Just
It's
like you said I did to you. You said, "Hey,
yeah.
here's this great well of wisdom."
Yeah. So that's the problem when you're reading 3 books at one time. You get them confused. You really do. This quote is from a different book that I'm currently reading as well that I'm almost done with. Yeah, that's embarrassing. When when the
You
quote
got
just
this, Joe.
the quote just makes this so much better. When you're at your best, plan for your worst. With how this is, I'm definitely not at the best because
You were not
I was
planning for
not
the
planning
winner.
for that. I was not planning for
You
that.
you know that the expression is normally aim high, hit low. You aimed low and hit lower.
I'm done with
Oh,
this episode.
that gave me a good chuckle. I'm happy for that.
I'm done with
That's
this
what my good
episode.
laugh for the day. All right.
Subscribe or follow to become a bud today,
And
and
hear more financial advice.
you might just replace me on the show someday. Uh,
Can you speak words good in an order and with certain adjectives and nouns in there? You got
I
a job.
I mean
Standards
that's
are
what I
low.
did. I just completely lied about where my quote came from halfway through doing it. Anyways, I don't even remember our outro, but follow, subscribe, comment down below if there's any other things you want us to talk about.
Be a
And
buddy.
thank you for BSing with us. We will see you
Take
next
her
time
easy.
when I figure out what quote goes to what book.
We'll see you next time when we've spent $1 million and figured out what books we're reading.
Yes.